Okay. First of all, my name is Tim Johnson. I'm the marketing director at Saving Options and Solutions. And as either Barry Wilkin or I have talked to you not long ago and kind of gone over the program with you. It's free final expense live transfers that we're offering. And more than just throwing it out there and, getting any agents that we can to get on the system, we're a little selective on it because it's a lot of payout that we do to buy the live transfers to have them go to you guys. And so we do want to make sure that agents that are going to be getting on the program are able to do it. There's going to be a little bit of a time commitment to do it. And we will need your reporting on everything. So we just want to make sure that it's not something that you're looking to do, 5-6 hours a week, something like that, and just jump on and off and take transfers here and there. We are looking for agents that are going to, put their heart into this. It's very lucrative for the agents that stick with it, that works for them. Not everybody can do sales over the phone. And so, that's going to be something that you'll be trying out and kind of adjusting as you go along, and we'll help you with that on the closing and everything. But we do want agents that are committed to this. You'll see at the bottom here, we have the final expense website information. And this website has product guides, training documents, training videos, all sorts of things to help you with scripts. We have final expense guides that you can leave to clients, the agent guides, things like that. Everything that you'll need is on that website, in addition to us doing the Zoom trainings with you. So be sure to write that down. It's finalexpense.business, and the password is live transfers 01. So as I mentioned, we do offer the free live transfers to the agents. We also provide you, like I mentioned, the website with all the training on there. We do Zoom training webinars on our agent site, that the finalexpense.business. There's an area there where it shows what days we're having trainings on, trainings that are coming up. If you need individual trainings, in addition to these group trainings, we can set that up and do it too. We're here to help you be successful and, work with you with anything that you need on here. We're there to help you. We also obviously get you the contracts to get set up and get going on this. We'll help you with the underwriting and getting policies issued quickly. We work a lot with these companies that we use, and so we have good contacts with them, a good history with them. And if we need things done on policies, they're really there to help us. And so we're there to help you. So what we'll need from you as an agent, 5 to 8 non-resident state licenses is the minimum, preferably more. What happens is when you're on the live transfer program, there is a call center, and the more states that you are able to work in, the more transfers you'll get. We have some agents that have 20 something states, and they get a lot of transfers constantly. We have some agents that have just about 5 states on there, and they're not getting near the amount on there. So we are going to have you sign up for your non-resident states. Hold on, someone else is entering. We'll have you sign up on the website. We have a list of every state and the fees for the non-resident licenses. And on that sheet, it also has the NIPR.com website. And that's actually where you go in and you sign up for whatever states you want. And it also has the fees and everything on there as well. So that's a help for you. So that's what we provide. Again, besides the non-resident state licenses, we're going to need agents that can work at least 12 to 16 hours per week on the live transfer program. That can be split up over the 5 days. The call center, in the future, they may start doing Saturdays also, but right now we're just doing strictly Monday through Friday, and we're just they're calling during what legal hours, whatever the legal hours are in the time zone. Generally they're, I believe, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Depending on where you're at. And the call center, what they do is they actually stop calling half an hour early to get everything completed on their end. So if you're in California, for example, they're going to stop calling at, I believe, 5:30 because, of course, they can't call the East Coast later than that, and the call center doesn't stay there and call just for the West Coast. So if you live on the West Coast, it's going to be beneficial to you to sign up and do morning hours on this, morning and early afternoon. And on the East Coast, you guys, you have the pick of the litter there. You can start at, you don't have to wake up early. You can start at noon, but you can also go later. So it's nice on both ends, I guess. We'll need you to provide us with your live transfer schedule each week. We have to coordinate with the call center, and the call center staffs up how many people they have calling and what's going on based on how many agents we have getting the live transfers. And so that's why we do need your schedule each week. If something comes up and you need to make changes to it, that's not a problem. As long as, give us a little time on it, because we don't want the call center to have people coming in and then the last second agents are dropping off and there's, no one for them to call. But yeah, if something comes up, definitely let us know and we'll let the call center know. Okay, we'll also have you be doing daily reports on the live transfers you get. And it's very easy to do. We set up Google Sheets for each agent, and you'll just put the live transfers on there. And as a matter of fact, let me show it to you here. This is an example of one. You'll have the prospect's name in there, phone number, the date the lead came in, the state. If you write a policy, the coverage amount, and the insurance company. We have this area here for follow-up activity. So you'll put in there what you're actively doing and what you have done on these. So a lot of the calls will be one call closes, and you'll be able to write apps just on the one call. Sometimes you will get two call closes. And so, don't worry and don't think that the lead is dead or the transfer is dead if you don't write them on that first phone call. Sometimes something comes up, they might not have some information that they need and you'll have to get back to them, or it can be kind of a, if you're going to write an app and you're doing this over the phone, it can take a little while to write the app and to go through everything. So it can take 45 minutes to an hour. And if the client had somewhere that they have to be and they want to complete it later, they can go ahead and do that. And I'll show you how you can do that on the e-apps. But yeah, don't give up on a live transfer just because the sale didn't go through right then on the first call. So by having all this information on the report, it'll also help you to see who you need to follow up with and what your last activities were on it. And then the results would be, the final results. Wrote the policy, or, client wasn't interested, or whatever the case may be. We'll have you put the results in there. And we do this, have you fill out this form for a couple of reasons. Number one, to help you guys. If you're having trouble and we see that you're not able to close and write many cases, then we'll get with you and work with you on these. If something comes up and, the call center says, hey, this such and such a person also called into us and we didn't realize it, and went to another agent at first, at least we'll have everything on here. So we can get back and track it, and you guys can track it also. So we'll have you do that. Also, number 5, communicate with us. That's important. Since we are giving you these live transfers for free, we obviously want to stay in touch with you and make sure that you guys are up to speed on products, on, the writing process. If you have any questions on anything, if, whatever it is, just feel free to communicate with us. And also we'll have you communicate with the call center. So what'll happen is when you get set up on this, you'll get put into, we'll have you, if you don't have a Skype account, we'll have you open up a Skype account. They're free. It's just another messaging service. and we'll set you up in a group. The call centers use Skype. And so when you're in that group, you'll be able to talk to the call center through there, letting them know, hey, either hold off on me, or if you have questions for the call center, you can talk to them about that, you know, put you on pause, anything like that. So we'll get you all set up with Skype also on that. And we'll need you to be on that really every day that you're doing the live transfers. And here's a copy of the report again. So first, what I'm going to do is go over the American Amicable Final Expense product. They have two different products. The family choice is for younger ages. That's really not anything that we're going to be getting into. On the live transfers, it's specified to go to from ages 60, I believe, to age 80. I'm sorry, 75. Not all products go past 75, so we wanted to keep it to the lowest age just in case you know, one of the agents is using a product that only goes to age 75. So the senior choice is the plan that you're going to be using, and here's just some specifics on it. Since we're not using the younger ages, I'll just go ahead and cover that up. So you can see with American Amicable, we use them because, well, we use them and Great Western together. Great Western you'll be using for just guarantee issue plans, and American Amicable you'll be using if the client can qualify for either immediate graded or their return to premium plan. They do have some knockout questions, and so if the client can't get coverage with American Amicable, you'll just switch over to Great Western and write them with the guarantee issue plan. So you can see here, the first plan is the immediate death benefit. Just like you know, normal insurance, they get the 100% of the death benefit is in force from day one. You can see over here on the right side, the issue ages and the maximum dollar amounts. From age 50 to 75, you can go up to 35,000, 76 to 85, which you probably won't come up across much. They can go up to 20,000. Now, for the graded benefit, you see they have the asterisk there. With the graded and the return of premium benefit, if the clients pass away during these graded periods of 2 or 3 years, which I'll go over with you, if they pass away by accidental death during any of that time, they get the full death benefit from day one on that. So really, they're just, the insurance company is just covering themselves for whatever sickness the insured might already have. That's why they have the graded and the return of premium. But if the client dies by accident at any time, they get 100% of the death benefit. So you'll see on the graded plan, the first year, if they pass away, they get 30% of the death benefit. $10,000 policy, they get $3,000 of it. If they die in the second year, they would get 70% of the death benefit. And then anything 3 years and on, they get 100% of the death benefit if they pass away. And you'll see on the graded plan, this one just goes up to 20,000 for all ages that they're writing on this. Then we have the return of premium plan, and that's for people who have even more medical conditions than what they might have had that dropped them from the immediate to the graded. On this plan, ages 0 to 64, which you'll get some people that age, but a lot of them will be probably older than that. But if they are ages 0 to 64, the way the death benefit is paid out is for the first 3 years. If they pass away during any time during those first 3 years, they'll get all of their premiums back plus 10%. After 3 years, they get 100% of the death benefit is in force from that point on. And of course, 100% is paid for an accidental death in any year. Now, 65 to 85, these are more of the age ranges you'll probably hit. And the return of premium is just 2 years for 65 to 85. So from age 0 to 64, it's 3 years. Age 65 to 85, it's just 2 year waiting where they have the return of premium in 10%. So after 2 years, everything is paid out at 100%. And just like the graded benefit, it goes up to 20,000 also. Okay. I'll go over some riders briefly with you. These two riders are no cost riders. So these are included in every policy. Terminal illness accelerated benefit rider. The client can receive up to 100% of the death benefit if they have a life expectancy of 12 months or less to live after the policy is in force, obviously. So, and in some states it's 24 months. So this is a really nice benefit. A lot of companies pay less than 100%, and a lot of companies don't do 24 months either. So this one is, most states are 12 months. They get 100% the death benefit if they're terminally ill and have 12 months or less to live. In some states, it's if they have 24 months or less to live. So that's a great rider that they have on there. We also have the accelerated benefit rider for confined care. So if the insured is confined to a nursing home, if they've had the policy 30 days or longer and they're confined to a nursing home, they can receive a monthly benefit of 5% of the face amount up to $5,000. Okay, so basically once they've had the policy in force for a month, after that time, if they're confined to a nursing home, they can get a monthly benefit off this, and that's a free rider also. Now they also have some paid riders, and I'll be honest with you, most agents aren't putting paid riders on there, and it's because final expense is for people that have lower incomes generally. And so, we don't want to get too much of the premium going into the riders. We want more of it on the death benefit. But if a client wants it, we have an accidental death benefit. You'll see on there ages 0 to 80, minimum amount 2,500. They have a grandchild rider. You can cover the grandchild, and it'll guarantee their future insurability. So if the family has a history of some sort of illnesses, that might be a case where you want to put on a grandchild rider just to make sure that they have that coverage when they get older. We also have a nursing home waiver of premium. So this will waive the premiums if the client is confined to a nursing home for 90 consecutive days. It'll waive the premiums on the insurance. And then children's insurance agreement, which you can add units on here, $3,000 per unit. Kind of the same thing where it guarantees their coverage on here. They'll keep this coverage, and they can actually convert it to their own whole life policy on here. So it's a nice little benefit on here. But again, we don't have a lot of agents that are putting any of the paid riders on here. And finally, we have level term insurance rider, where you can cover a spouse with a term insurance plan, and also the regular waiver of premium rider that will waive the premiums if the client becomes disabled. However, you can see the issue ages on this, they're just 0 to 49. So this is really just on the younger product. So most of the paid riders you won't be, concerning yourself with. So here's an example of the rates for the senior choice plan. And let me move something out of the way here. They make it very easy. You can see they have up here, they have all the different face amounts. Down here are the ages. This is the rate per thousand, but right in here, it'll just give you the exact number. So if we're looking at, let's say, a 70-year-old, and let's say he wants $10,000 of coverage, you'll see up in the upper left-hand corner who is male, non-tobacco on this one, and it's for the immediate death benefit plan. 70 years old at 10,000 would be 78.79. So really, you can just have this sheet in front of you, just a couple of these sheets for the immediate death benefit, the return of premium plan, and the graded plan. And you can just run this right off the sheet here. They make it very simple for you. Okay, and the underwriting on their final expense plan, obviously there's no medical exams or blood work. It's a little final expense plan. Yes or no application. They will run an MIB and a prescription drug check. And American Amicable's liberal or build chart is very liberal. So it's nice. If you have a client that's pretty heavy, this is one of the better companies to look at for that. And telephone interview, they used to do a lot more of these, and then they cut it down over the last couple of years. And so now they only do telephone interviews if the applicant is from 71 to 85 years old and they can't find them in the pharmacy database. They're assuming that anybody from 71 to 85 has had some prescriptions and they should be in the pharmacy database. or if the payer on the policy isn't the applicant, spouse, or child. And with the policies, with any final expense policy, if at all possible, it's best to keep the insured as the owner and payer on the policies. Really for the simple reason of making the application go through, especially an e-application, without any extra forms or any extra people needing to be on a conference call with the insurance company. It makes it very simple just to keep the applicant and the insured the same on this. So if they think that they might want to change and have the payer on the policy or the owner be someone other than themselves, if they really need to do it from the beginning, that's okay, go ahead and do it. But if they're not sure, I would recommend getting the policy in force with just the insured as the owner and the payer, and then you can always change it later. Okay. Here's state approval list. Now with American Amicable, they have their American Amicable group of companies. And so they have different companies are in different states with different products. For the most part, all the states that you guys are in, it should be American Amicable. I'm sorry, let me go back here. There's just a few where it's not. Let's see, we have Iowa, Massachusetts, and Michigan. Those are all going to be Occidental Life, but we don't have many agents using those licenses, and the ones that do, it's no problem just to get them set up where it's Occidental instead of American Amicable. Montana, they don't do any business in Montana, which is kind of strange, or New Hampshire. New Jersey, Puerto Rico, Rhode Island, Vermont, those would all be Occidental Life. But like I said, for the most part, most of the agents that we have aren't in the states where it's not an American Amicable product. And if you are in any of those states, let us know and we'll make sure to get you set up with the right company. Okay, so that was a little bit about the product, and everything that you see on here is going to be on it's on our website right now, the finalexpense.business site, and you can go in and you can download a copy of this as well as agent guides, client brochures, things like that. So that's the product. Now I'm going to go over with you how to do their mobile app, because these are phone sales. We do have to do e-applications on these, and they're going to require not only an e-application, but also a three-way call with the insurance company. So you'll need to make sure whatever phone you're using, you're able to do a three-way call on it. Okay. Or for the agents that we'll be starting in probably a 2 weeks or longer time frame, all the phone calls will be done through the computer, and we'll teach you how to do that. It's actually through a Vici phone system that the call centers use, and you can do three-way calls right on there. And again, we'll teach you how to do all that. For the agents that are getting started right now, you'll need to make sure that you can do a three-way call on your phone. Okay. So what you'll do is you're going to go to insuranceapplication.com. You can see right up there at the top. And that's the site for their e-app. They make it very simple. First-time users are going to need to do a registration process. And so I'd suggest you get in there and do that before you start taking calls, because once you're registered, then you're good to go at any time. When you're online doing their mobile option, one of the reasons that we use American Amicable is their e-app is pretty slick. They have a training manual on there. You can do quotes. You can do a lot of things right from their e-app. And so it's a real smooth process, and we really like using them. You'll see right here, they used to only be able to do this e-app where they were face-to-face with the client, and the client would be able to sign with their finger or a stylus. Well, with COVID, they got rid of that, so we can do non-face-to-face sales, and you don't have to have them sign a tablet or anything. Now they've added a voice signature on there, and I'll go over that with you and how it works. They have a process on here. Well, let me go into the actual mobile application. Okay, this is American Amicable site. And what you'll do is you'll click, it's called mobile application. It doesn't have to be on a mobile phone. This can be on your desktop, laptop, whatever. So you'll click on mobile application. You'll log in. You'll be given your login ID, and you'll create a password when you register. And it'll take you to this page. You can click to start a new application, and normally that's what you would do. This time I'm going to click to edit one where I've already put some client information in, so I don't have to type all that while we're doing this here. Well, another thing that you can do is, which is kind of nice, you can make a bunch of half-done applications here just so you can run quotes on here. And what I would do is you can do it for each state that you're licensed in. So let's say, for example, I'm going into this one. I'm going to edit it. And it's going to take me here, which is right where you'd be when you start an application too, but this is already pre-filled for me since I did it before. So if you're going to do the quoting online here, they have this button here for the underwriting questions. You can click this and the underwriting questions will pop up, and this will guide you to which product they're eligible for. So you can see you answer these first 3 questions, and if they answer yes to any of those first three questions, they don't qualify for any coverage. So you'd immediately go to Great Western and the guarantee issue plan. There's this next group of questions down here. If they answer yes to any of these, they should apply for the return of premium plan. Okay. And then there's sets of questions down here. If they answer yes to any of these, they should apply for the graded death benefit plan. So it's nice they have these right here for you, and you can go back to the quote and go right back to where you were, but this will let you know how you should be quoting the client based on their answers. Okay, so assuming that's this is a new policy, you would, or a new application, you'll fill in the client's information on here. Let me see. The plan type, now you can do, I put in here as an example that we're going to do the immediate benefit. You can, after you've done looked at the questions, you can decide if they would qualify for graded or return of premium. But I always check here, keep this check marked, because if they don't qualify for the plan that you put on there, this is saying that they're willing to accept another plan. At least that will get us the quotes and get back into the application. Even if they decide not to take it, at least by checking this, you'll see that their other options will pop up then. Okay. Riders and benefits. These are the paid riders. So I'd say 99% of the time you're going to keep this blank and not worry about that. Payment mode, monthly. Face amount. So when you're doing this, you can either solve for face amount or premium. And when I go over the script with you, there's one section where you're getting down to how much you should quote them. And what we found over time, and what our agents have told us and what we've experienced, is a lot of times when you're talking to the prospects, they have no idea how much one of these policies is going to cost. So by asking them, how much can you pay for your policy, or how much do you have set aside to cover this, they really have no idea how much it is. So a lot of times you're going to need to volunteer a number. So for me, for example, I suggest that I run a $12,000 quote because the average funeral in California is a little over $11,000. So I just put in a nice round $12,000. And let me show you how it comes out then. So I'll say, okay, let's start with a quote for $12,000. That should cover all of your final expenses at the end. And I'll go over the script with you later when we talk about, not creating a big debt for your family. But if you just put the 12,000 in there, you can click quote, and you can see the monthly premium, $69.17. And from here, you can either view the PDF presentation if you want to, or continue the application or go back. So let's say the client said, oh, that's a little higher than I could afford. I could maybe do $60 a month. So you can go back, scroll back down to there and put in the premium $60 a month, and then click quote again, and you'll see $60 a month gets them $10,346 of coverage. And before, from $12,000 to $10,346, it's not that huge of a jump there, but it gets them in the price range that they need. And so it's kind of nice how you're easily able to change this on here. And that's why I like to set up clients for California, Florida, Texas, and just keep them on the system. And then I can jump into whatever state I need to do the quotes on. Okay. So let's say you've done the quote, $60 a month. Client says, yep, okay, that's in my price range. You can continue with the application. It takes you to those health questions again. Before, you were kind of reading them and figuring out what the client wanted. So then you'll go back, answer all these, and make sure everything is answered on here. If you need to add any comments for any reason, you can do that here. Generally, there's not a lot of reason, unless the client isn't sure about something. Maybe you can put some comments in there. And then they ask, within the past 12 months, have you been medically treated for, diagnosed for, or tested positive for corona? Put yes or no on there. If you click yes, it asks, has it been 90 days or longer since you were diagnosed with COVID? Click yes. Do you have any residual effects? Nope. And then you're okay to go forward. Okay. COVID within the last 12 months isn't a big deal, but 90 days, that's more of a big deal. If they've had it within the last 90 days. So that could cause them either to possibly get kicked to the other plan or possibly decline, depending on what the other health questions are. Okay. So you'll answer all those questions. You'll click continue. The nice thing about this is you can't continue if you don't answer everything correctly. And when you get to the bottom, if there's something, if you try to push the button and something isn't right, you'll see down here, for example, that requirement will pop up next to whatever you need on there. So it's really, it's better than a paper app, because in paper apps, agents miss things a lot. And so this helps to, there's no way you can miss something and go forward. Okay, so then after you've done all that, you'll come to this page where it's payment type. It's going to be bank draft, but I put in direct just so I wouldn't have to put in all my bank draft information on here. But you will be choosing bank draft. Direct, there's too many lapses when you do a direct. So just stick with the bank draft on this. You'll put in the client's personal information. This is where you're choosing the state for the client, and up here, and all their personal information, where they live, contact. They will need their physician's information on here. So you'll see in the script in the beginning, we ask the client if they have their doctor information, their banking information, because we really don't want to go forward and start an app if they don't have everything with them. What we found is, if you try to go back, if you go about halfway through an app and you try to go back, a lot of times it was a client's way of stalling, and you're not going to get a hold of them. It's better if in those situations they're stalling for a reason, price or whatever it may be, to uncover what it is at that point. So yeah, we'll be sure to get their doctor information. You'll put it in there. Like I mentioned before, you are going to want to make the proposed insured the owner and payer if possible. If not, that's okay. There'll just be some extra things that you'll have to input in here. And if it's the owner, he'll have to be on the phone for the three-way call also. You'll put the primary beneficiary information in here, the relationship, and you can put contingent beneficiary, and you can put in as many as you need in here. Do they have any existing coverage? No, so you're not replacing anything. You'll get all the way down here. For California residents, they have this extra little thing, and they have it for some other states too. Basically, it's asking them if they want to designate someone else to receive a copy of their policy notices. So just in case the client, is in the hospital or something happens and they don't see their mail and there's a problem with their premiums and you don't want the policy to lapse, they can have a third party also receive any correspondence. So it's a nice thing for seniors to have someone set up on that. If you do, there'll just be some extra questions on who it is. No big deal. Or they don't have to, and they'll just get the information themselves. Okay, and then you'll click to continue to the agent statement. The agent report, type your name up here, city, state, any remarks, if there's something that might help, maybe there was some medical thing that came up, or some other thing that might help the policy get issued, you can put it in there in the remarks. They ask again if they have any existing insurance or if they're replacing insurance coverage. We have no on there. Down at the bottom, it'll pre-populate with your agent number, your name, and the percentage of the case. We just have 100% on here because we're not splitting any premiums at the home office or anything. And so when you put in the, after you're done with your agent information, you'll click continue to signatures. And they have the three options here. You're always going to choose the voice signature. They have the sign on screen, which I discussed before, or they have an email for the signature where an email goes to the client. They have to do an e-sign, and that's an easy way to lose cases too. Just trying to get someone to find the email and all that. Voice signature is the way to go. And when you're doing this, the way they have this set up on their website is a little funky, but click here for voice signature script. What you're going to do is there's an 800 number, and let me go back to it here. Oops. Okay, you'll see here they have instructions for you. With the applicant on the line, you'll do a three-way call with American Amicable Group. You'll call this 800 number, or you can try this number. And if all lines are busy, just wait a few moments and try again. I've never heard of the lines being busy when anyone's called, so that shouldn't be a problem. Now it says when you're prompted, enter the 6-digit app number. So this number, this is exactly what's going to pop up on your screen when you're going through the e-app. And so this app number is going to be different for each app. And so this is the number that you'll be entering on your phone when asked to. And then when you're done doing it, you need to be sure and hit the pound key. And, it's small writing and it's not very highlighted here. So you need to remember to hit the pound key, or this voice recording won't go through and everything won't sync up on this. So you'll follow the remaining prompts until you hear this call is now being recorded. When you hear that, you're going to start reading this, and you'll need to read it word for word, just as it's written. And after each one, you'll stop and let the client answer. And this is American Amicable's way of the client signing these pages. It's by listening to you and recording you read this to the client, and then the client answering. So when you do this three-way call with American Amicable, you're not going to be talking to anybody else. It goes into a recording system, and that's how it's done, which is nice. You don't have to deal with anybody else on anything, and you just call in, read this, let the client answer. When you get to the very end of it, I'll show you on here. After you've done it and you've read everything, you have to press the pound key again to terminate the recording once you've gone through the entire script. If you don't press that, it won't get recorded and synced up to the application. So I said it's kind of tricky the way they do this, and really it's because they just have these pound signs and small writing there, but you have to remember to do it after you do the app number and after you're done with the recording. Okay, then when the recording's done, it'll take you back to this page. You'll click here to verify the recording has been received. So once you do that, they're verifying that everything is good on there as far as the recording went through. So now you can finalize the application by clicking proceed with application transmission button. So after you click to verify recording, a proceed with application transmission button will pop up, and that is when it will be transmitted to home office. So you can't transmit an app to the home office until you've done the voice recording and hit the pound sign. So I just want to re-emphasize with you guys. But it's a very simple process. You're calling in, typing in this 6-digit app number and pound. You'll read verbatim everything that they have on here. The client will answer, and you'll press the pound to finish the call or the recording, and then you'll proceed with the application. And they keep it nice and simple and easy. It's been going smooth. I haven't heard of anybody complain about this process, which is nice. Some of the companies that we work with, their e-app is just a nightmare. But that's one of the reasons we like American Amicable, because it goes through real smooth. So that's how you do their e-app. Next, I am going to move on. Let me get to Great Western here. Let me look real quick, see if there are any questions. Okay, let me see. Nope, I don't see any other. Dennis Kramer says I'm breaking up and there's an echo. That might be because you're on your phone and the computer, and you're probably getting sound out of both of those. I saw that we had 2 sign-ins for you. That's usually what happens when you're using your phone. But if that's the only way you can do it, go ahead. But you might want to try taking the phone away from your ear and see if you can hear just through your computer on this. Okay. Okay, now we are going to go to Great Western. And American Amicable, as I mentioned, that's for people who can qualify for coverage, even if they do have some health issues. Great Western is going to be for people that don't qualify for coverage and need a guarantee issue plan. Great Western is about the lowest cost guarantee issue plan out there, and they're a good company, which is why we chose them. So the guaranteed assurance plan is the plan that you'll be writing. They have 2. One is for an immediate death benefit, and one is for guarantee issue. Some agents use Great Western for both, and you can if you'd like to. With American Amicable, sometimes you can get cheaper rates because they have the 3 different levels than you can with Great Western if they're in pretty good health. So Great Western is by far the best for the guarantee issue, though. There's no underwriting, no health questions needed on this for the guarantee issue plan. If at any time death occurs by accident, just like with American Amicable, full death benefit will be paid. If death occurs in the first 2 policy years and it's not by accidental death, the benefit will be paid the beneficiaries will be paid 110% of the premiums. So similar to Great Western's returner premium plan, where they get returner premium plus 10%. This has the same thing, returner premium and 10%, but it's just 2 years, no matter the age of the client. So after 2 years, they get 100% of the death benefit when they pass away. Here's a little snapshot of their agent page, Great Western's agent page. The reason I put this up here is they have a lot of nice training materials. They have webinars that they do on their final expense product and on the agent portal. It's the same webinar every time they do the final expense webinar, but it's good to jump on every now and then and just to refresh yourself with everything. After the first 2 policy years, regardless of how the death occurs, the full death benefit is paid, as I mentioned. So I'm going to go over a little bit more of the specifics with you. And again, since we're mostly using this just for the guaranteed issue plan, I'll just cover up their other plan. So you can see here, issue ages are age 40 to 80. Face amounts are from 1,000 to 40,000. During the first 2 years, again, they get 110% of the premium back if they pass away, unless it's by an accidental death, and then they'll receive the full death benefit from day 1. They do have a child-grandchild rider, and again, we don't have many people putting riders on this plan either. Simplified application, guarantee coverage. Anyone qualifies regardless of health. Personal health interview, you're not going to have to worry about that on the guarantee issue. And then the rest of this is just standard insurance jargon there. Here's an example of their rate chart where you can figure out the rates on your own. It's very simple. They have the calculations on the right side. Let's say you want $15,000 of coverage. You divide that by 1,000, so that's $15. So for, let's say that in their example, they have a 46-year-old female right here, $15 because they want 15,000 of coverage. Multiply that times 53, which is right here, the calculation for a 46-year-old female. You'll add a $35 policy fee, and then they make it very simple. For monthly, you just divide it by 12. Or you can run quotes online. They have, and you don't have to log in or anything. This link here, let me click this. Takes you right to their website, their mobile quoter website. Again, you don't have to be logged in. Anybody can run quotes on here. Male or female, you'll put the age in. Let's say we have someone who's 70. You'll pick the state. Let's just say California as an example. Product, it's going to be final expense. So then you'll click this next line here, select product details. Payment mode monthly, bank draft. Now, Great Western has a nice deal where they can pay by credit card. And with a lot of companies, it's just the first premium where they will take the credit card. But with Great Western, you can set it up monthly and still have it taken out of the credit card. I'm just leaving this as bank draft on here. You type in your face amount. So let's say, again, I want to go $12,000. Type that in there. Which plan? We're doing the guarantee assurance plan, not putting any riders on there. So we'll go get quote. And you can see here, premium $142.91. You can click on this and it'll have more information on there. $142.91 for $12,000 of coverage. No riders. It just has them as preferred on here, even though it's guarantee issue. Everybody is just preferred on that product because everybody just gets it. Or you can go back and start a new quote, but that's a simple way to do a quote. So you can have this just up on your computer all the time that you're taking live transfers, just like the American Amicable one, and just run quotes right off here if you want, instead of doing a whole rate sheet and everything. Okay. Now, they use what's called My Enroller for their e-app, and I would suggest that you download the My Enroller. And when you get signed up with them, you'll get information through email from them on getting set up with the My Enroller. They have it where you can either do it you can download an application, you can run it off website in Windows, or you can run it on a Mac too. I like to download it because sometimes when you click to run it online on the website, some strange Microsoft thing pops up having you log in. And if you don't have the right login, then you can't do that. But if you have the My Enroller application, let me show you what it looks like here. You can just have this down at the bottom of your taskbar also. And as you need it, you can just pop it up. You can run quotes and do the application online right from here. Okay. So they make it very simple for you. So let's say, for example, I put in 92026, we have a male. This is the date of birth. Monthly, you do credit card or bank draft, whatever you want. So again, I put in $12,000 on here, guaranteed assurance plan, no riders, and we have the monthly payment on here. Now, down here on the bottom, you can see they have navigation, which is you can go to whichever page on the e-app you want. You can save it and close it if you just want to finish it another day, or you can return to the quote, which is this page. And so if you get into the e-app and you need to return to the quote for whatever reason, you can just click that and return to the quote, and then you can go back forward or go to the navigation to get where you were again. Okay. So I put in the information on here. I have the quote. We're going to go forward with it. I click next. That's where you'll input the general information on there. With Great Western, they have, let me get back into the PowerPoint because they have a little something on here on their application. to this here. I'm just going to go through the PowerPoint with you instead of going back on the app, because it's the same thing through the PowerPoint, and then I won't have to go back and forth. So just like American Amicable, you're going to want to go in and register before you start taking calls, and they have the website on here. And again, this is all on our finalexpense.business website, so you can download it and you'll have all this information here for you. And then you'll request new profiles, set up your get you all set up in the system. And then you'll go through the My Enroller, the dashboard on here. You'll input the state. Agent number will already be pre-filled in for you. They have a down arrow just in case you have two different agent numbers for some reason. Click male, female, date of birth. You'll put in their quote details. You'll get the quote. And then this is what I wanted to show you here is on the My Enroller, they have fields that are required have a pink background, and fields where they highly recommend but they're not required are in a green background. And so I'll show you here. Let me just jump back to the My Enroller app on here. You'll see this. I can take this off too. And you'll see some of these are required and some of these aren't. So you can't go further without doing some of them. So on this one, I'll put the phone number in again. And then you don't have to put in the social security number. I don't know why they don't require it on here, but we're just going with it, and you don't have to do that. If they have an email address, you put that in there because you can email them the application and all the forms when everything's completed. Here they'll ask you, is the owner different than the primary insured? Again, they ask you if someone has power of attorney. You'll check those off. This is just saying that the information furnished on this application was recorded by you from the client to the best of your knowledge, and the client gave it to the best of their knowledge. We go forward on this. They'll input the beneficiary information. I had put it and preloaded it on here so you can edit. You can add more contingent beneficiaries on there if you want to. You'll click next after the beneficiary page. They'll ask you about the replacement, and that's no. Third-party notice, again, just like American Amicable, they can have someone else receive notices just in case they don't get theirs, so the policy won't lapse. So you can click yes or no on that. This shows you the product and the payment method on here. Application agreement. And then on here, you'll click voice signature, just like American Amicable, always do voice signature. You'll click next. And then you'll need to click again, request for voice authorization by agent. And just like American Amicable, where the screen pops up and it has all the words that you read verbatim, and it has information on the application number and everything. Same thing here on the My Enroller for Great Western. They tell you call this 866 number. You'll need to enter a 5-digit code, which is this code, and it'll be different on each of your applications. You'll press pound to save and end your recording. So what's going to happen is you're going to just follow what they're telling you to do on here. Again, it's just a recording. You're not talking to anybody. So just listen to the recording and follow what to do. They'll tell you when to read this, when to put in the code and hit pound and everything. So you're going to go through this, print it all out, or I'm sorry, read it. You can even print it out if you want to, so you have it on your desk and not have to try to read this every time going through here. Okay. So you'll go through all that. When you're done, hold on, this will just pop up. Make sure you hit pound to save and stop the voice authorization. I like that. I wish American Amicables did that too. And then this is for agent. I certify the information was provided by the applicant. You're not replacing anything. Confirm preferred effective date is such and such a date. Click next. Would you like to split commissions? No. And then this is where you can put in, again, the client's email address, so you can send them their application. Now, because of HIPAA and confidentiality, you have to set up a PDF password. So when they get the email, a PDF is going to be attached to it. And when they click to open that PDF, it's going to ask them for a password. So I would recommend using the same password and just make it simple, something easy to remember. And there's only so many digits that you can put in here. So for example, I can't do Tim space Johnson because it was one too many. So I just made mine Tim Johnson. And so then that'll be easy for the client to do and easy for me to remember if they forget what it is. But you'll make up whatever password you want and put it on there. And they'll have you do that for each application. So you don't just make one password and then do it, but you can use the same password. Okay, and then you'll go next. Email app copy. Oh yeah, if there's anyone else that they would want this email to, you can set them up to get the email. And then the bill day info, just basically when they would draft the policy. So you'll click, I've reviewed the payment scenarios with the applicant. And then this is where the credit card information you'd input there. And their information, their billing address and everything like that, and security number. Now it won't let me go next because all these are required still, but basically that's about the end of the e-app. You'll see on here going through it, there's just a little section left. Let me get back to the PowerPoint on here. And when you get down to the bottom of it and to the end of it, something's going to pop up and they're going to ask you to synchronize with the home office. Now, the nice thing about this My Enroller application is you don't have to be online to do it. You can go through everything on here, get all the client information and all of that. And if you don't have internet access, it's okay. You'll just save that application. And then when you have internet access later, it will sync with the home office. And it'll show you down here that success, or processing. Everything will go through on there. If it doesn't, an error message will pop up, but I haven't seen any error messages. These have all gone through very smooth. And then at the end, it'll just say, thank you for using My Enroller. And that's it. So even though it kind of sounds like you're going through a lot of pages, it's very basic, just client information, quote information, and then reading verbatim everything that they want you to read. And it's not short, the stuff that they want you to read, but it's the only way that the companies can do it by not having the client sign. They need to hear you saying this to the client. They need to hear the client answering and have a recording in case anything comes up later. So it doesn't matter what company you're working with, pretty much. You're either going to be reading these or the company, some companies, it's not a recording. You're calling in and talking to a live person. And in that case, they're reading them to the client. And I'd much rather read it to the client at my speed than their speed. So that's the basics about the product, about how the e-apps work. I went over what we needed from you guys as far as non-resident licenses, time commitment, things like that. So let me go over with you just real briefly here, the script. And instead of, reading through all of this, I'm just gonna kind of highlight what we say and why we say it. Okay. And I always encourage agents, you need to sound like yourself when you're selling. So take what's on here and, make it sound like you would be talking, using your own words, but the same ideas on here. Like I said, there's a reason for each section on here. So we want you to hit each section, but I want you to be comfortable saying it to the client. So if there's words on here, like say financial burden that wouldn't normally come out of your mouth and doesn't sound comfortable to you, you can, change that wording, but just keep the idea. So basically what happens is when a live transfer comes, you're going to get a warm handoff from the call center, meaning that your phone will ring, you'll answer it. They'll say, hi, Mr. Smith. I have Tim Johnson on the phone here. He's 70 years old. He's interested in $10,000 of coverage, final expense coverage. If they have any additional information to say to you, they'll say it at that point. But then at that point, it's handed off to you, and you'll just say hi, start making a little small talk, build rapport. Hi, how are you today? When people getting life transfers that are starting right now, you're going to need to ask the client probably their date of birth, if they smoke, anything like that. People that will be starting on the Vici system, which will be starting with us in about 2 weeks with the call center, that information is going to pop right up to you on your screen. So you'll have it right when the call is getting transferred to you. So you won't have to go through those questions. But basically, it's transferred over to you. It's a nice warm handoff. You'll just say, hi, how are you doing? Let them know you're a licensed insurance agent in whatever state they're calling from, and you'll be able to help them. And the next part is we want a commitment. We want them to know that this phone call isn't just a informational phone call that they're getting. I mean, you are giving them information, but the intention here is to write an application. And we want them to know that because if they don't have time to do that today, you'll need to schedule another time to get back a hold of them. So you'll say something like, I need to ask you a couple of questions to determine which plans you qualify for and how much coverage to quote. Then if it's in your budget, you can choose the plan that's best for you and we can get you covered today. Does that work for you? And if they say something like, well, I'm not ready today, don't proceed with the call. Don't give them quotes and do all that, because it's wasting your time, wasting their time. Just get in touch with them when they are ready. Rates can change by the time they're ready. Their health could change by the time they're ready. So you giving them a quote now may not be relevant to when they're ready. So it really doesn't do anybody any good. So yeah, we want them to know, hey, I'm going to give you a quote. If it's in your budget, are you ready to get going today? And most of the time they'll say yes. And if not, again, just reschedule. And then we let them know, and we added this just a little while ago because we were seeing that too many times clients wouldn't have, say, bank information or doctor information, and then the agent was left trying to track them down again on another call to get that information. So we want them to know up front, we're going to need this information from you. If you can't get that right now, let's schedule another time to do this call when you do have access to it. So that's kind of the wording on here. You're going to let them know that, hey, we're going to need a few things from you. First of all, we're going to need to do a 3-way call with an insurance company. So we'll need a few minutes of your time, and they'll say okay to that. You'll need to know who their beneficiaries will be that will receive the money that will pay for those final expenses. You'll need to email some documents to them. So you'll need their email address, and you'll need to have their bank information for the insurance company when they sign up for the plan. So if they don't have the info on one of these, definitely reschedule with them for another call. And again, don't waste your time and don't waste their time, because again, by the time you get a hold of them again, if you do, everything could have changed. Their health could have changed. The rates may have changed. They may have had a birthday since then. So if they can't go forward, reschedule for another time. And then once we've got the commitment, they said, yeah, I have everything if we need. Then even though they have an interest in a final expense plan, it may not, you need to hit them harder on why they need that plan. It could just be well, yeah, I think I need one. But if you let them know why they need one, they'll be much more interested in moving forward. So easy question on this is, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, do you know if you want to be buried or cremated when you pass away? And who will be responsible for planning and paying for those expenses? And we want them to go through this and visualize it in their mind, because chances are they've never put a lot of thought into this. And now when they do, they're going to realize, oh, my kids are going to be left with this big bill, and I can get that taken care of now for pennies on the dollar. So you want them to, visualize it. If you can get the name of whoever is going to be paying or taking care of this and the planning, I like to get that and write it down so you can come back to it later. If say, she says, my daughter, Katie, she'll be the one taking care of everything, and from there, you can ask more questions if you want, like, well, does she have a lot of money, or does she have money set aside to pay for your final expenses? Average funeral is over $11,000. Average cremation is over $3,000. And the reason we like to include cremation is because a lot of people think that they can just get cremated for $200, throw their ashes in a box, and it's not going to cost their family anything. But that's not the case. And so we want them to know up front, just about everything that we say about the final expense policy, we include the cremation in, because that used to be a way that people would just get an out and not buy a policy. But we want them to know, no, your daughter, Katie, when you pass away, she's looking at probably a minimum of $3,000 if you get cremated. And that's not including, any extras, any ceremonies or anything like that. And does Katie have $3,000 set aside for this? And probably not is their answer. So you want them to feel the pain. And if you can include the kid's name in it, that helps them to feel even stronger. Like, oh man, I'm leaving Katie with this debt. Another nice thing that I like to do is localize it. When the call center is talking to these people, a lot of the call center people have accents, and you don't want the client thinking, hey, you're calling from some other country or anything. And it's a lot more personal if you can localize it. So I keep on the bottom of my screen a tab open on this website, funeralocity.com. And it's great because you can go in there, you can put in an address or a zip code, and it'll show you the funeral homes in that area. The costs that they have on there aren't very accurate, because a lot of the funeral homes, they try to lowball them and they put the basic costs and they don't include caskets or anything like that. But it's great because then one of the questions you should ask them is, have you thought about where you'd want to be buried? And, either if they say a place, you can look that up, or hopefully you've typed in like at least their zip code, and you can say, well, I'll tell you, just looking up here, the ABC mortuary, which looks like it's about 5 miles from your house, looks really nice. Have you ever been there? And, kind of talk to them about that. And it makes it more personal to them also. And it just takes a minute or two. So I'd recommend doing that also. So you've got them thinking about it. You've ingrained it into them some more. And now you need to ask them some questions so you'll know which plan they'll qualify for based on their health. So you'll ask them if they're married. And again, if they're married or have kids, if you can get the names and write them down so you can use them as you're talking to them, that helps. Are you married? How old is your spouse? Would you like quotes for covering them as well? A lot of the people that you talk to will actually be single, widowed, or divorced. We just find that a lot with seniors that are getting these policies. And that's probably why they're interested, because they don't have a spouse there to help out and take care of this. It's all going down on their children. So you'll ask about that, ask if they have any children, how many kids do you have? That's great. What are their names? Do you have any medical issues? And tell them, you have plans. We have plans that can cover them no matter what health conditions they have. But whatever health conditions they have determines the plan that you're going to recommend to them. So you'll let them know that no matter what your health is, we can get you covered, but I need to ask these health questions so I know which plan you'll qualify for. Ask them if they're on any medication. Sometimes if you say, do you have any medical issues? They'll say no. And then you ask them if they're on any medications, and they're on blood pressure and diabetes and cholesterol medications. You're going to need to get that information. We just had a policy turned down yesterday because the client said they didn't have any prescriptions, didn't have any medical issues. They ran the MIB report, and it was obvious that the client wasn't being honest. And so the company declined the policy. So be sure you get all that information so you can answer the questions correctly. You ask them if they smoke, how tall, how much they weigh. And then, you've talked to them about the final expenses, why they need it, not leaving the big debt to Katie. Now you want to tell them a little more about the benefits that they get when they get this policy. So in this section, the benefits to them, you've asked them the medical questions. Now you say, as I mentioned, these types of insurance plans cover your final expenses, such as, again, we mentioned cremation, urn or casket, funeral home, burial costs that get left for Katie or, whatever family members to pay when you pass away. So instead of worrying about trying to qualify for a loan to cover this or maxing their credit cards out, which is additional stress, this gives Katie time to mourn and heal and get through this situation. It's traumatic for a person to lose their parent, and to throw a big debt on top of that just compounds it and makes it worse. And then I like to say this also helps to not try to be oversold by the funeral homes. If you go in there and say, look, I have this $12,000 policy, they're trying to sell you something for 15 or 20,000 or 25,000. You say, this is all I have, and they'll have to get within your budget if they want the money. So it's a good way to not get taken by them during a difficult time in your life. So again, just reiterated quickly why they need it. Determine the coverage amount. And as I mentioned before, most people don't know what these plans cost. And so I let them know, like a small funeral averages $11,777. Cremation is almost $3,500. So I ask them, so is there a specific amount of coverage that you want to leave to your family for those expenses? And if they don't have a set amount, sometimes they'll, after you've told them this, they'll say something like, okay, yeah, let's, make 10,000 or 15,000 or whatever. But a lot of times they'll just be like, yeah, I don't know. And so that's when I volunteer. I can quote 12,000, which is about the average cost for a funeral. How about we start there, and then we can adjust it if we need to. And so then that's what we do. We run the quotes. And then before you give them the number of how much it would cost, again, review it with them, say, okay, Mrs. Smith, for $15,000 of coverage, that'll go directly to Katie when you pass away, which includes an accidental death benefit at no cost, and list whatever other riders are on the policy that you're quoting to them. So including the coverage, the riders at no cost, it'll cost just $69.99 or $69.50 per month with, and then put in the company information. American Amicable Life Insurance Company, who's rated A by AM Best, and you'll have the information on the company you're selling. And so I would really suggest that you mention that to them every time. Rated A by AM Best, been in business over 100 years, over 7 billion in assets, and whichever company you're quoting, include the details on that. Say, okay, it'll cost you $69 a month. Is that amount within your budget? And this is really one of the easiest closes or getting your way to the close, because either it is or it isn't. So if you say $69 a month and ask them, is that within your budget? If they say yes, great, let's move forward. And if they say no, the next easiest question is, okay, then how much can you afford to pay? We can adjust the policy as needed to get down to your budget. And so that tells you right there how much they can pay. They're telling you how much they can pay, which is a clear closing sign. So it's just the natural close on here. $69 a month. Is that within your budget? That seems a little high. Well, how about, can you do 65 or say $60 a month? And then you can requote, yes, that's in my budget. Or if you ask them, okay, how much can you afford? And they know a number, use that number. And really, that will lead you down to the close. Now, I always say you're going to get objections on every sale. If you don't, a lot of times that policy is not going to stay in force because they're scared or just trying to, get this over with and get it taken care of, and they'll cancel it later, but they have a hard time saying no. So you're going to get an objection. Don't worry about it. You just need to get past the objection. And what we do is you want to, like it says here, accept their objection, let them know you understand, and let them know that you can remedy whatever concern they have. So with any objection, the first thing you want to do is isolate it. And what I mean by that is whatever their objection is, you say, okay, so you had questions, let's say about the ratings of the company. Did you have any other questions or any other concerns? Whatever their objection is, ask them, okay, do you have any other questions or concerns? And they'll say no, or if they do, they'll mention it there, and then you can get them all taken care of instead of hitting one at a time. But usually it's good because they'll say no, and then they're not going to want to come back with another objection because they've already told you this is the only one. So you isolate the objection and trial close, which is basically, if they say, okay, this is within my amount, okay, then let's get going on this. And the trial close and the assuming close are just one right after the other on there. But let's say they do have an objection and they can't afford it. Here's just a couple things just to keep in the back of your mind that you can pop up and say with them. Okay, Mrs. Smith, we can definitely tailor your plan so you can afford it. You want this coverage, but the premiums are too high. Is that correct? Yes. So you got her saying, yes, I want this coverage, but the premiums are too high. And then again, we isolate. Are there any other questions or concerns that you have besides the price? No. Okay. So if I can tailor the plan, we'll change the face amount, get it down to where it's affordable for you. Then you're ready to get covered. Is that right? Yes. And so you say, okay, and you change the rates. You can always get it within their budget. It might be less coverage, but it's generally going to be within their budget. So you'll lower the coverage, let them know, hey, the worst policy to have is the one that's not affordable, that you can't keep in force. So we want to make sure that this is within your budget and you have this until the day you no longer need it and it pays off to Katie. You can always revisit it later, add more coverage later if you want to, but the bottom line is something is better than nothing. If you can, save Katie from a $10,000 bill and only have her have a $2,000 bill, isn't that better than leaving her with a $12,000 bill, something like that. And then again, just go into change the rates to what they can afford. Say, okay, this is what you said you can afford. This gets you $10,320 of coverage. Let's get going then. Who would you want your beneficiary to be? And you can just take it from there. Another one that comes up is, I need to think about it. And basically that's more of just someone's, it's putting you off. If they need to think about it, really, if they need to think about it, they need to think about it while you're on the phone, because then if they have questions, you're there to answer them. And that's kind of what we tell them. I say, look, I've been in this business for 25 years now, and I've learned when someone says they want to think about it, it's because they still have some questions before they move forward. So while we're on the phone together, this is the perfect time to ask me any questions that you have. And I volunteer questions that they might have, instead of just letting them say, I need to think about it, which there's no real answer to that to keep them on the line. I ask them, okay, what do you need to think about? Are you not sure if you need the coverage at all? Do you have questions about the product or the insurance company or about me? Or are you still worried that you can't afford it? Those are the basic objections that ever come up. And so you put them out there, let them choose from it, and each one you can overcome. You'll see down here on establishing trust with the prospect. I like to, and usually I say this earlier in the script, this was just something thrown in at the end in case you wanted to do it, but I tell them how long I've been in the insurance business. I've been in the business for 25 years. And you don't keep an insurance license with California or whatever state they're in for 25 years unless you're honest and doing what's right for clients. Agents that don't do that, they're quickly weeded out. And I've been in the business for 25 years. I've been, if they're in the same state as you, it's nice. I've been in California for however many years, and I see you're in California. Just building up that trust with them. I've been in the business for a long time. I couldn't be in the business for a long time if I didn't do the right thing all the time. You can offer to email them a copy of your insurance license. You can even offer to either give them the Department of Insurance website, or what some agents do is they'll send over an email as they're talking to the client and with their insurance license and Department of Insurance information on there. And right there, it shows you've never had any disciplinary actions. You're fine, upstanding insurance agent. And it's a way to just build up that trust, which is harder to do on phone sales than face-to-face, obviously. So that's one of the things that if someone says they need to think about it, maybe in the back of their mind, they don't know you from anybody and they don't just want to give out any information to anybody. So letting them know that you've been in the business for that amount of time and giving them your insurance license information can help with that a lot. And so those are the basics of the script. And again, it's a process that you want to go through, build a little rapport, you know, get some chemistry with them, get a commitment that, hey, if I give you something that you're interested in, are you ready to move forward today? The requirements to move forward, you know, look, before I give you the quotes, I want you to know that if we are going to move forward with a policy here, I'm going to need a few things from you through a call with the insurance company. And I like to mention the three-way call with the insurance company because that makes them feel better too, that it's not just them working with me, who they don't know from anybody, but we're actually going to be calling the insurance company. So that often helps them to feel better also. So I let them know we're going to be doing that. I'm going to need to know who their beneficiaries will be, emails the documents to them when we're done, and we'll need your bank information for the premiums for the insurance company. Then again, paying question, who's going to pay when you pass away? Who's going to pay for everything? Who's going to plan it all? I like to let them know also that we have a free memorial guide that we can email to them also, where they can list any bank accounts they have, you know, any assets they have, what plans they want for their funeral or cremation or whatever, and they leave that with their insurance policy for their beneficiaries when they pass away. And then her daughter, Katie, you know, it's bad enough that her parent died, her mom died, then she's going to have to plan a funeral and she's going to have to pay for it. Well, how much better is it for you? Would you want your last memory of your daughter to be of you? You passed away, left her with this big thing of planning a funeral and stuck her with the bill for it. Or would you want the last memory of your daughter to be, look, my mom took care of me even when she was gone. She left me this money for the funeral. She left me instructions for the funeral. My mom loved me, you know, and those are just kind of some of the things that you want to hit with on here. And this is more of an emotional sale than just a dollar and cents sale. So, you know, you really got to hit on some of these points that someone's going to be left with this bill. And, you know, you can take care of it now for pennies compared to the thousands of dollars that they're going to be paying when you pass away. So those are the basics on the script. We have a couple scripts online on our website, so you can choose from them. Let me look and see if we have any questions still. Okay, let's see. Yeah, nope, I don't believe we have any other questions on here. So I appreciate you guys being online. We're happy to do Zoom trainings for individuals on this if we need to go over other things. We need you to be sure to get your non-resident licenses. Again, go to the nipr.com website, and it's very simple to sign up for them there. On our website, the finalexpense.business, there's a list of all the costs for each state. So you'll need to get those taken care of, get your contracts in, and we'll get you guys some live transfers and writing a lot of business. So thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to working with you guys. And actually, before we go real quick, here's some contact information, phone number, my email address, tim@savingoptions.solutions. And again, here's that website, finalexpense.business. Password for the agent login is live transfers 01. All right, thank you, everybody.